Welcome to our Wednesday News Radio special. Cassie and Christine at night here on 101.4 FM.
Today we will be discussing the current state of the economy while also discussing the specifics of GDP, unemployment, and inflation.
To start off tonight, we will be discussing our current unemployment situation in the United States.
Basically, a person who is unemployed is 16 or older without a job and is actively seeking work. Since March 2013, our unemployment rate has been 7.6. That means that there are 11.7 million people in the U.S. who are unemployed. The cause of a lot of unemployment is because the modern technology in the economy today causes a need for less workers.
That is a lot of people. This number shows that we have a national issue that needs to be fixed. The number of unemployed people measures how healthy the economy is at any given time. The less unemployed people at one time, the better state the economy is in. Now you may ask, was our employment rate always at this level?
In January 2012, the unemployment rate was 8.3, which is just a little bit higher than it is now. In January 2011, the rate was up to 9.0. These comparisons show us that the unemployment rate has been decreasing to this day and our economy is becoming stronger.
Right, our economy has recovered from a recession and is becoming stronger. Just this year, over 100,000 new jobs have been created, showing a positive outlook for the future of the unemployment rate.
We are now taking call-ins for anyone who wants to tell us a little bit about their unemployment situation and where they think it's going within the next couple of months or maybe even the next couple of years.
Lucky caller number 8, you're now on air with Cassie and Christine at night. Tell us your name and a little about your unemployment situation.
Hi guys, I'm Sosa and I've been unemployed for about 5 months now. To be honest, it sucks and I don't really know where it's going. My last job was at an electrical contracting company in the city. I was laid off after working there for over 15 years.
How much longer do you think you'll be stuck in this unemployment situation?
I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I've been looking into contractors in the city, but nothing has come up. Hopefully the job stability improves throughout the country with the next couple of years. You would think some kind of government agency would take some sort of action and start trying to help the unemployed.
It looks like we're running out of time, but good luck and thanks for calling Cassie and Christine at night.
Now to wrap up our unemployment discussion, let's look back on the history of unemployment rates.
In 1930, the rate was 8.7%, which was the lowest for that decade. The unemployment rate did hit a very high point in 1932 to 1934, falling between 21 to 23%. In the 1980s, the lowest rate was 5.3% in 1989, but then the highest rate was 9.7% in 1982.
Come with me.
These unemployment rates show us how much our economy has changed throughout the years. In conclusion, we are hopeful that the unemployment rate will continue to drop and our economy will become stronger with time.
Our next topic for discussion tonight is inflation, or a rise in the general price level of all goods and services produced in the economy. This rise in price is either caused by pressure from the demand side of the market or from the supply side of the market.
These rates are relatively low currently, which is good for consumers. They're willing to spend more money if they get more for their dollar. Usually the harder times for the economy have had relatively lower inflation rates.
Looking at the history of inflation rates, we can see that it varies from time to time. As of March 2013, our inflation rate is 1.5%. In January 2013, the rate was much higher than it is now at 2.9%. In January 2011, the rate was just a little higher than it is now at 1.6%.
In the early 1930s, the inflation rate was down to approximately negative 9.9%. The inflation rate increased with a few ups and downs throughout the rest of the decade, ending with a negative 1.4 inflation rate. Between 1975 and 85, the inflation rate was always positive and relatively high. 13.5% in 1980 was the highest average.
From these numbers, it shows us that having either a very high inflation rate or very low inflation rate are not necessarily what is best for the economy. For the remainder of 2013, the inflation rate is expected to rise about 2.6%.
Now, all of our listeners may ask, why does this matter to me? Why should I care about inflation? Everyone should care about inflation because it affects our future, especially for those who save their money. At 17 years old, a person would want the value of the dollar to go up as they age.
Our final topic for tonight is gross domestic product, or the total dollar value of all final goods and services produced in a single year. We will also be focusing on real GDP, which is GDP that is adjusted for inflation.
The most recent GDP data is 15,684.8 billion. To analyze the trends of the GDP, we can take a look at the history of it.
The growth rate was 0.1% in the beginning of 2011, but at the end of 2012 it was up to 3.1%. In 2008, the growth rate started at negative 1.8% and continued to go down in 2009 all the way to negative 8.9%. But at the end of 2009 and the beginning of 2010, the growth rate was 1.4 and continued to increase in 2010.
This shows us that real GDP has its ups and downs, but eventually stays at a steady, increasing pace over time. Based on the GDP of our economy should be in a relatively stable place. We have the highest GDP in the entire world. Our economy has done a good job of getting out of the small recession.
In conclusion, GDP is an important aspect of the economy because it has an impact on inflation and employment. It also affects the prices of products that consumers like us buy.
Thanks for tuning into our show today. We have gathered these facts and figures to help people like you better understand the current state of our economy because it can seem very complex.
Thanks for listening to Cassie and Christine at Night. Tune in tomorrow afternoon at 7 o'clock for a heated discussion on climbing interest rates.